it's really just such a waste of money.
This video is not sponsored by any of the companies mentioned.
Hi, Shanna Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artist at Play, and today I want to talk about one of the biggest problems with buying a complete set of colored pencils, or I should say, I mean, this probably pertains to any type of set of art supplies, and I'm going to be showing you the dark side in just a little bit. I'm going to try to make this a quick video, but I have been going through my studio because, as some of you know, we're renovating it, which is taking forever. I mean, you're going to hear about it for a long time because it's not going to be done for a very long time. But obviously, while I'm doing that, I'm also going through art supplies and trying to donate some things, get rid of things, basically see what I need, what I don't need. And there is something that I've been holding on to for a long time that I really have been wanting to make a video about, but I just haven't yet, and I think it's finally time because I need to release this into the wind. And that is the fact that I'm a self-proclaimed colored pencil addict. Actually, I'm a self-proclaimed art supply addict in general. You all know this if you've watched my channel before. But particularly when I got into colored pencils, I bought a lot of colored pencils. And part of my symptoms of my art supply addiction is that I have the whole set syndrome. Like, if I like something, I want to get the whole set. Because who doesn't love getting a new set of colored pencils, opening it up, seeing all those beautiful colors and all the possibilities? However, I am also someone who is a stickler for lightfastness. And when I first started buying colored pencils, I didn't know about lightfastness. And then when I learned about lightfastness, it was kind of disappointing because I had to weed out a lot of colored pencils. And so I'm about to show you the downside to buying sets, whole sets of colored pencils if you're somebody who cares about lightfastness. Now, lightfastness, if you don't know, if you're new to my channel, because I talk about it quite a bit, is the pigment's ability to retain its vibrancy and its color when it's exposed to light. So basically, if something is called light fast, it means that it can withstand the test of time without fading. And if something is fugitive, it means it fades very quickly. And even when we talk about light fast ratings, because each individual company puts out light fast ratings on their pencils, usually professional companies do. If a company does not do light fast testing or doesn't have individual ratings, you may want to steer clear of that particular art supply if it's going to be used in artwork you want to sell, because you have no way of knowing if it's going to fade or not. But a lot of artist grade companies, and this goes as far as paint, pencils, all of that, will put out testing that they've done on their products to show you which pencils are going to fade and which aren't. And so most colored pencil companies have a range within each of their lines of fugitive all the way up to pencils that are the highest light fastness that aren't going to fade in 100 years in museum conditions. And there's only a couple colored pencil lines that have 100% light fast pencils. And that is the Derwent Light Fast line and the Caran d'Ache Luminance line. So if you want to avoid something like this, you can buy those lines. And then the other way to avoid this situation is to do your research on the pencil that you're interested in and then buy them open stock and buy the colors that you know are going to be light fast. Or if you really want to start out with a small set just to get the feel, get a small set first. Don't go and buy the whole set because and some brands are worse than others, obviously, but I just want to put this out there because I'm not going to bash any specific brands or anything like that. I'm going to show you all the pencils I have from all the brands that are considered fugitive that I don't dare to use in my artwork that I'm going to sell. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to get started. I want to mention that Some of these are going to be water soluble as well, and I might have some pastel pencils mixed in because I kind of just threw them all in the tins together. What I like to do is when I get a set of colored pencils, or when I was in the habit of buying sets, I don't do that as much anymore. I would look at the ratings that were put out by the manufacturer itself, and I would also compare it to the ratings that the Colored Pencil Society of America put out. And that is so that way there, if either of those sets of ratings say something is fugitive, I'm definitely going to pull it just to be safe. So even if the manufacturer says that it's, you know, moderately light fast, but then CPSA says, hey, this faded really quickly, just in case, I like to pull it. But you don't have to do that. You can go by the manufacturer's, you know, rating system. It's just the one reason why I like the Colored Pencil Society of America's rating system is because it's all in one place. It's all these different brands in one place, and it evens the playing field because they test all the pencils the same way. Whereas when you're comparing, say, Prismacolor to the ratings that Faber-Castell puts out on their Polychromos, they might have rated their pencils two different ways. So some manufacturers like to use the ASTM scale, and some like to use the Blue Wool scale. And Blue Wool, you'll generally see, they usually use like a star rating, and if it's like a 3 on the star rating, like the higher the star rating, the better light fast it is. Whereas it's the opposite with the ASTM. If they go by Roman numerals, and the lower the number is, the higher light fast it is. So if it's a number 1, then that means it's highly light fast. Whereas if it's Roman numeral 4, that means you're starting to get into territory where they're going to fade. So it's kind of opposite on those scales. So that can kind of get confusing. So that's one reason why I like to use the ratings set out by the Colored Pencil Society of America. It's all in one form. You have to be a member to have those ratings though. So I'm not going to talk about specific ratings today. And I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not sponsored by them. This is just how I do it. However, there is free information out there online for you by each manufacturer. They put it out there on their websites. And so if you're not a member of the Colored Pencil Society of America, I just recommend you look for those color charts. I have any prospective art supply that I'm interested in, I go and I look for their color charts first, because now I don't really buy the sets anymore. And this goes for paint and everything else. Light fastness goes across the board on all art supplies. It's not just a colored pencil specific thing. So I like to look at the color charts ahead of time and then just buy light fast colors that way. But what I do is, if I'm even remotely interested in buying a new art supply that I hadn't tried before, I look for their light fast chart first. I download it because usually they have a PDF, and then I put it in a file folder on my computer. So I have all that stuff. So next time I decide, okay, I do want to try this new ink that I was thinking about or whatever, I look at the light fast ratings first and I have it all in one place. So that's what I recommend doing. Keep a file folder of your favorite supplies or prospective supplies with their color charts, because that will give you pigment information as well if you're interested in that, and transparency information a lot of times when you're dealing with paint and things like that. So it can be really helpful to have the color charts on hand anyways. Now, some companies are easier to find their color charts than others. If there is no light fast information at all on the internet about a specific brand, which you'll find with a lot of the cheaper brands, then I wouldn't dare to buy it. That's personally me. If you want to sell your artwork, that is. If you're somebody who's just, doing like adult coloring books and you don't plan on selling your artwork, or if you only plan on selling prints, you don't have to worry about light fastness. But if you want to sell your originals, I recommend looking into light fastness so you're not going to sell something that's going to fade on somebody's wall. Okay, so after that rant, let's take a look. Now, these tins aren't necessarily indicative of what's inside them. I just use my old tins to store these things. This is my pastel pencils that I've weeded out. Now, I only have a few brands of pastel pencils, and I haven't even bought the full set in each of them. You see there's some Carbothello in here, and some of these, some Derwent, Pitt Pastels, Conti, some of my Neocolor 2s, and then like random, I think these came from a kid's art supply. So there's a bunch in here, This isn't as bad as it could be because, again, I haven't bought as many. Now, if I'm going to buy pastel pencils, because I was somebody who's like, oh, I want to try pastel pencils, I'll just get a set or 2 or 3 because I was like, well, I'm not a huge fan of this set. Let me try this set. And that's usually how it goes down. Now, these are wonderful pencils. They may work beautifully. However, these colors are likely to fade over time, so I'm not going to use them in my artwork. But this is, you know, just a starting point. This is, you know, I don't use pastel as much, so this is only 1 tin for the pastel pencils. It's not that bad. Here are my ink tints. Now, this isn't organized very well because I just kind of throw things in together. I also have some watercolor pencils here. So if you look, watercolor pencils are a lot worse, and I actually have a lot more here. This is mostly ink tints. Let me see. I think I wrote on this tin. 25 Soho colored pencils or 26 Soho colored pencils. Those are regular colored pencils, but 17 ink tints are in here. And then also 2 General Kim's watercolor pencils. General's Kimberly watercolor pencils. So this is like what's going on with the watercolor pencils that I have. I have the full set of ink tints, but I also had a smaller set of ink tints. I think I had 2 full sets of ink tints, honestly, because I had bought myself some and Derwent had sent me some, and then I also had a 24 set. So some of these are doubles. So it's going to look a little worse than it actually is. Some of these are doubles. But ink tints are water soluble. They're going to possibly fade a little bit quicker because you have to water them down. And something about Derwent is they've actually come out and said that they have not tested their ink tints after they've been watered down. So their pigment has been tested for light fastness, but once it's been watered down, we don't know how light fast it is. Now, generally speaking, if something is highly light fast, it's not going to fade when it's been watered down. However, if something is not very light fast to begin with, it will fade faster after it's been watered down. So, and this is just pulling out the ones that Derwent themselves have said are fugitive and that CPSA have said are fugitive. I still keep the ones that are moderately light fast and highly light fast because I like to give myself as much to work with. And if you look at these, it's mostly reds and pinks, oranges, yellows, things like that. And you're going to see that as a trend here. Same thing with these. These are the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, which I haven't even reviewed on my channel yet. Oh, I haven't even used these on my channel yet. But I weeded out all the ones that are not supposed to be very light fast. And if you look, and I think I had 2 sets of these. I think I had the full set, and then my husband had also gotten me like a smaller set, like either a 12 or a 24 set. So I do have doubles of these as well, but you're seeing a trend here. Pinks, purples, reds, some oranges, a few light blues, some lighter greens and things like that. But it's mostly your warm colors, your pinks, beige, reds, things like that. So these are ones that I will not use in my artwork that I plan to sell because I don't want it to fade. Beautiful colors, beautiful product. But here I am, I bought a whole set. And if you actually add up the price of the full set, divide it by each pencil to find out how much you spent on a pencil, and then you have to subtract all these. Like, that's just technically wasted money if you're not going to use them. So please just learn from me. Learn from me. Because this is just so sad. These are the Koh-i-Noor water-soluble pencils. I only had a 12 set of these. And 5 of them I can't use because they're not light fast. So even the smaller sets will get you. Okay, so now I've shown you these. These are my Holbeins, and I don't own the full set of Holbeins. I had a 24 set and 3 12 sets, and this is what came out of all of those sets. Some of them are probably double. Like these ones, some of the blues are doubles because they were in 2 of my sets. Like one was in a 24 set, one was in a 12 set. Not too bad, but you know, again, I don't know what that would look like if I had weeded it out
from a full set.
I have a couple Color Soft. I don't have a lot of Color Soft. I only had their portrait set, and these two came out of their portrait set. I have only ever owned like 5 or 6 Caran d'Ache Pablo, and of that, 4 of them have, I think it's just 5. I think I have 1 Pablo that is not, that's not fugitive. And this one, the interesting thing about this one is it says it's a 3 according to their ratings, but the CPSA, I believe, I'm assuming they didn't give it a 3, and that's why I got rid of it. Because if it's normally, you know what I mean? So this was very disappointing to me when I went through and looked at all the ratings of a bunch of the popular brands at the time. It was a few years ago. It's on my channel. I can link it. Because I had been planning on investing in a full set of the Pablos at one point. But then when I did that video and I compared the Lightfastness and what people have left after, especially for the price, the Pablos were very, very disappointing. I'm pretty sure the Prismacolors even did better than the Pablos. And these are like so much more expensive. They're so much more expensive. Now, speaking of the Prismacolor, this is going to look worse than it is. Because I have more Prismacolor sets than any other color, any other pencil, because I started with Prismacolor. So I had bought, you know, their 12 set or whatever, their small set at first. Then I upgraded to like a 24 set. Then I got the full set, and I think I ended up with more than 1 full set at some point. So there's a lot of doubles in here. But this is what I started out with. And so then imagine when I first learned about Lightfastness. There's a lot of doubles here. There's a lot of the very thin as well. Again, this looks way worse than it is. I still have, they have 150 like 150 colors in their line, and I still have a lot of usable colors out of their line because they have so many in their line that even though I've weeded out all these pencils, and again, I mentioned that in my Lightfast video. It's not my best filming. I'm not going to lie. It's an old video. It's not my best filming, but I will link that below if you want to see. I still have a lot of usable pencils from this line. So this looks way worse than it actually is. However, because I started with Prismacolor, I had more pencils of theirs than any others. Oh, and this is actually a Blick. There might be some Blicks mixed in here too. Oh yeah. So that looks worse than it actually is because there's some other brands probably still mixed in there. This is what I have dug out of here of my Faber-Castell Polychromos. Not too bad. Not bad at all, actually. And there were some mixed in with the Prismacolors and stuff as well, so I don't know if there are more. But it's not bad. As far as, like, fugitive goes, they have a lot. This is a really good brand as far as Lightfastness goes. I think I showed you this big tin already. Not this one. See? I showed you this big tin already that had 25 Soho in it. I have more Soho. Now the Soho, these are like the Jerry's Artorama brand colored pencils. And I had actually got their 72 set on a promotion from them because I had ordered so much from them and they had a lot of promotions going on at the time. And they sent me a free set of colored pencils, so I was like, hey, I'll take it. However, 72 colors, and out of that, at least 25, 26 of them, if not more, because these weren't even in here, so 26, 27, like 31 of them, 31 or 32 of them. That's not good. And I'm not, like, trying to bash any one brand, because as you know, there are all of these are coming from all the brands. Like there's some from each of the brands I own, other than the Lightfast, other than the Luminance, and then of course the Derwent Drawing. There's only 24 in their line of the Derwent Drawing. Those are all Lightfast, but the rest of them, and then again I have Derwent watercolor pencils, and I have the Derwent metallic pencils, and those ones, I think they only have like a 12 set of those, or maybe a 24 set, and there's like a few of them that are not Lightfast. But this is mostly, there's some Inktense over here, and it's mostly the Soho over here, and then some of the Derwent watercolor pencils. And again, you're finding it worse in water-soluble media than in regular colored pencils. And then I also have a bunch of the Blick Studio. So you're seeing the trend here. It's mostly some light blues, pinks, purples, beige, a few blues, a few dark blues, a couple greens, mostly reds, pinks, purples, yellows. And especially, this is a great way of showing it. Pastels are not good. So that's basically what I had to show you today. I hate to even like admit it, but like these are things that I don't dare to use in my artwork because I want to sell my artwork. I don't want it to fade. I don't even have a count on the amount of pencils that are here. I don't even have a count. All I have is sadness. That's a lot of pencils. And for the most part, like I said, I weed out mostly the fugitive ones and leave the ones that are, you know, between, you know, Lightfast to highly Lightfast. If it's like below 50 years, I like to pull it out. This is just, this is absurd. Learn from me, folks. If you are interested in Lightfastness, and again, you don't have to be, it's your own artwork, do what you gotta do. You do you, boo-boo. Oh, hey, there's some more. Look at your Lightfast ratings online and buy open stock. Or I was able to, you can kind of look at the Lightfast ratings and also find a set that has more Lightfast than non-Lightfast in it. I've done that before too. So just before you buy a set, make sure, like when I bought the Holbein the first time, I went through and looked at the Lightfast ratings first, and their 24 set had the most, like out of the sets that they had, I was fairly okay with the Lightfast ratings on the overall set. And I felt okay with that because I wanted to, you know, try them all at once. Because sometimes it can be a little bit cheaper to buy them in set, but, you know, cheaper per pencil, depending on the brand. However, if you're throwing out like half of the set, then it's not cheaper per pencil anymore, is it? You might as well just buy open stock. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know, this is the dark side to buying sets of colored pencils. So it looks beautiful when you buy them and they're all together, but if they're going to fade in your artwork that you spend hours and hours on and you want to sell your artwork, I don't know, like, is it really worth it? Okay, so that's what I have for you today. That's my sad little video for the day. I do want to say I actually had more than that at one point because I also had the full set of Arteza pencils at one point. There's a few other sets that I had that I gave to my sister, and she likes to craft and design things. And so when I gave her the set, I gave her all the pencils. So I took out the fugitive ones too, because she's not worried about fading or things like that for what she's using them for. So I gave her the full set. So I actually had more. I actually had more fugitive pencils in there at one point, and there's probably some other brands that I'm not remembering that I've also given away over the years. But yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I want to sort those out, and I'm probably going to donate them either to a school or a shelter or something like that so that they can get used. But they're not getting used in this studio or this household, so they have to go bye-bye. And now I'm only going to buy open stock. Of course, I buy the Derwent Lightfast a lot now. Don't have to worry about it there, but they are pricey. And so if you're looking to get something that's a little less expensive, yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful to you. And like, it's almost embarrassing when I look at it, but it is what it is because I know we're all doing it. Like, we all love the sets, and it's the same thing with paints. Like, watch out for your paints, watch out for your watercolors, and if you get sets of acrylics or anything like that, it could all happen in all the you know, pastels, all of that. So it's just kind of a reality once you start selling your artwork if you are worried about archival issues. That's sad. It's really sad. But okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully next week I'll have something a little happier for you. I will see you next week. You have a great day. Bye.